All right, guys, welcome back to the Alliance Tournament. I'm Kill2. I'm here with Ravy, and we have another sick lineup in front of us. Exodus about to fight Nulli Secunda. Nulli maybe going out of the tournament, but going out in style.
If one Vindicator is better than no Vindicators, what is 4 Vindicators?
Better than one Vindicator.
Better than like everything. 4 Vindicators. So Nulli has brought 4 Vindicators, 4 Harpies, and a Hawk. 9 ships. I think they probably could have done better if they filled it up to the full 12, but it is pretty baller. Meanwhile, though, actually pretty decent counter to them with Exodus, which has their flagship out. It's a flagship Balgorn, and another Balgorn, Loki, and Neros, then a bunch of Assault Frigs, 4 Ishkers, 4 Enyos.
So the big obstacle here is there's 30k to cover before the Vindies can get on top of any of the big Exodus ships, and in their way is Balgorn webs from 2 Balgorns, one being a flagship, and Loki webs also.
And the Loki has the Warfare processor, so they're all bonus to range, and we're seeing the Balgorns, they're going to be running away, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes, they're running away. So they're going to try to kite out these Vindicators, cap them out, and then go in for the kill once they're out of cap.
Right. They need to be careful. If Exodus commits any ships early in the match, they will probably get killed pretty quickly by Vindicators, but you can see the entire Exodus team is just heading away from the Vindies. They're just going to kite them out while the Balgorns burn down their cap, and then after that they'll go in once they don't have any guns or any cap left and do damage.
Yeah. This Nulli team also does not have any logistics. These are armor tank Vindicators, so the shield isn't a big deal, but over time the Scorch on these pulse lasers on the Balgorns is going to wear away the Vindicators.
Vindies are moving like
pretty
1,200
fast.
meters a second right now, which is really fast.
One of them's not webbed.
Yeah.
The primary is not webbed at all.
Which means they are probably going to wind up with a web on something at least.
It's slow. They're making it across, but they are catching up. They are definitely gaining.
They're going to have to get through some of the Assault Frigs first. There's Ishkers positioned behind the Exodus battleships to maybe get webs if the Vindies get too close.
Or just throw their bodies in the way, go for bumps.
But for now, the Vindies still haven't managed to get a web on anything. One of them is damped, but all the rest of them should be able to have locks. It's just a range issue.
And the one that's primary is down to about 2/3 armor. He is going to he's going to die. That's inevitable. The fact that there's no logistics means that it's just a matter of time. But if they can get a web on something first, they're going to be in decent position because these Vindies will do a massive amount of damage.
Yeah, if they would have been able to pin down a Balgorn, I really would have liked them actually going forward in the rest of the match. But if they don't manage to catch up to a Balgorn or something else important, they're just going to have a really hard time the longer the match goes.
Everything in this match comes down to whether or not we see a web icon appear beside the Exodus side on your overview at the bottom of the screen. If you see a web appear there, then that thing is going to die.
You know, another issue that's going to come up at some point, although we're not quite there yet, is the boundary. Right now, most of the ships on the field are about, well, most of the Exodus ships are about 110k from the boundary. Web on a Balgorn. So as they get close, they're going to have to turn. That's going to give an opportunity for webs. So we'll see if this web on the Balgorn ends up making any difference here.
Yep. Can you just show info on the one that's being primaried? We'll see if it's the flagship. But in the meantime, the Vindicator that's being primaried is going into structure. And they're about to lose a Harpy as well. It looks like the Assault Frigs found a Harpy that's outside of web range of those. That Balgorn's not webbed anymore.
So the Balgorn that's tackled or was tackled is not the flagship one. It's a Vitone that's the flagship Balgorn.
Yep. So they're at the moment losing that web is huge. It's possible that it was the Vindy that's being primaried that got that web. If so, the newts on him probably turned off his web. Now the flagship Balgorn has been webbed.
It was also possible that a Harpy dove up ahead and got a web on something to try to make the break once they got close to the boundary, but then died.
Yep. All right, so we're going to see, they are getting close to the boundary, so they're going to have to turn now. But in the meantime, we are going to be seeing a Vindicator go down very soon, and more Harpies dropping. Yep. This does not look good for Nulli Secunda.
Yep.
These Harpies are going, we're seeing them now going for the suicide tackle, but the problem is once they get in close, they get newts thrown on them, and then they die really fast as a Vindicator disappears.
There goes Vindy number 1. Oh, Nulli, so cool, but not very good.
And another Harpy going down. These Vindies now do have the flagship webbed. The flagship Balgorn doesn't have Vindies on top of him. He's probably going to die. I don't think he'll be able to tank even with the help of Neros 3 Vindicators, but I think that's not going to be enough.
You know, even though they have him webbed, the back 2 Vindicators, so there's one that's close. Maury Regan is really close to that Balgorn, but the other 2 are at least 10k off, and they're all webbed, of course, by Balgorns, Lokis, everything else. So getting close to the Balgorn is still an issue, which means the damage is still diminished, especially with those tracking disruptors.
Actually, if you guys were listening to us, Kill2 just made a little bit of a mistake.
Backwards?
Yes, Sabotage is the flagship. The first one they primaried is the flagship. Thankfully, due to our delay, I'm pretty sure that they didn't switch primary because of what we said. But yes, Sabotage is the flagship. They've decided to shoot at the non-flagship one, possibly because they got confused just like we did, possibly because they feel that one would have a weaker tank.
Possibly just because it was the closer one.
Yeah.
I mean, it could this match is so about what you can actually get a web on that it might have just been the only option.
But now we're seeing one of the Vindicators going down into structure. He's going to pop about the same time that this Balgorn pops. This is not a good position for Nulli Secunda to be in. They've got a Harpy that's being nosed and is going to die pretty soon. They've got 2 Vindicators left, and soon they're going to be up against one Balgorn, Loki, Aniros, and a whole bunch of Assaulters, which do a ton of damage.
Yeah, even if they bring down this first Balgorn, the second Balgorn is positioned in a really good spot right now. He's sitting 30k or so from the fight.
And that first Balgorn's not webbed anymore. And
Oh,
he's
wow.
getting repped. So that first Balgorn is pulling back armor thanks to the Aniros. He's in structure, but at the moment he's in no danger of dying.
Yeah, I said that the second 2 Vindies were maybe 10 or 15k away. They might have even been further than that, because if they don't have webs, they could have just been too far, and that means their damage is bad too. So once the first one goes down, there's really not a whole lot of damage there. It looks like Exodus is going to come out of this with just a total hell death, as we used to call it.
Yep, yeah, killing everything, not losing a single ship. Very solid team on their part. Actually, not too different from the PL team that lost.
Except for those bad malices, it looks pretty similar.
Yeah, but it's working very well. This is the kind of team that I think PL was hoping to come up against.
Yeah.
Not probably a 9-ship team from Road, but probably a flagship Balgorn, or a flagship Vindicator team is what PL was hoping to come up against. And the second to last Vindicator's down. Last one has a whole bunch of EOR icons on him. He's going to have a ton of webs. He's going 17 meters a second. He can't web anything else except for maybe that Enyo that surrounded him. But he probably won't be able to run his guns very long. He'll just be able to run them in bursts between cap charges.
So a trend I'm kind of noticing here, and something I feel like we've seen in the past in the tournament, is as we get later in the tournament, we see newer setups. They're more control-based. They take a lot of high individual pilot skill to make work, because you have to make sure that everything is right where it's supposed to be, or everything falls apart. But stuff like, you know, a billion Taloses or a billion Vindicators stops being quite as effective, because the control teams are just so high-skilled.
Yeah, and this is a solid control team, making use of the flagship Balgorn to excellent use, like excellent effect. A team like this can do well against blasters. Probably wouldn't do as well against a missile team, a long-range missile team of any kind. Would do very well against ECM. But we'll see how they can do going forward. They're going to be up against Virgin Collapse, who have surprised a lot of us.
Definitely. Great match. We'll go back to the studio.